Fields are aircraft parts and everything needed for the cabin interior: galley, overhead compartments, toilets, and seats. "50 different airlines have ordered the A350. This means 50 different interiors for business, economy, and first class. The logistics specialists supply the components to the assembly hangars as and when needed. This just-in-time process requires precision in supply and demand. David Gaillard is the head of the Airlog Center. He must be aware of what parts are needed at all times. If just a single curtain is missing, the aircraft cannot be delivered, and the entire production line grinds to a halt. Bearing in mind the number of outstanding orders for the A350, a disaster, David tries to avoid delivery bottlenecks and delays by way of stock keeping.
Airbus's strategy involves looking to see where the greatest expertise in a particular discipline is located. This is why we work with many factories in Europe and indeed throughout the world too, if you include all of our subcontractors. The logistics are highly complex, and that's precisely the challenge our department faces. We coordinate everything and take delivery of parts from all over the world that arrive by plane, train, ship, and of course by road too. We're talking about 40,000 deliveries a week.
On parle de 40,000 réceptions par semaine.
And every single delivered item is checked and logged by David's staff. If any part turns out to be damaged, his team immediately organizes its replacement or repair. Components for the A350 arrive on a near daily basis by plane too, 7 days a week, from early in the morning until midnight. And then there are the machines waiting to be delivered. Airbus has its own tower in order to coordinate all these flights for the factory in Toulouse. The air traffic controllers don't just monitor the air traffic. Alexandre Clavier has an overview of the entire factory site on his monitors. He also coordinates the movement of aircraft between the hangars. Every machine to be maneuvered from one station to the next needs his approval and clearance. Alexandre and his colleagues have to coordinate 50 aircraft movements each day, and that doesn't even account for the rest of the site traffic.
Fox, Whiskey, Whiskey, Bravo, Charlie. Okay, cleared for takeoff after the fire truck.
Roger, we're pushing back. Cleared for takeoff. Bravo, Charlie.
Airbus shares the runway with the public airport at Toulouse-Blagnac. Alexandre's team also coordinates the cargo flights with the tower there. A Beluga XL, the prototype for an even larger transport aircraft, has just landed.
Airbus 42X Lima, roulé Whiskey, Sierra 32, Zulu unité pour Pierre Limite.
The existing Beluga fleet alone clocks up over 10,000 flight hours each year.
We coordinate two types of flights, those of the development department and those of production. The ones for the development department are prototypes. The flights for production are aircraft destined for customers, for example, that are being delivered to airlines. 2 air traffic controllers are always on duty at the same time. The air traffic control officer responsible for the frequency controls the air traffic in real time. And we also have a coordination officer who is in permanent contact with the tower in Blagnac and the flight test center in order to get takeoff clearance for the pilots. He organizes the takeoffs.
The
Airbus A350 reaches Station 30. The lower the number, the closer the aircraft is to completion. Francois, head of cabin installation, checks the fittings of the business class seats. quality control has done its job and identified minor defects. The inspectors have discovered problems with the movement of the seat backs. An expensive business class seat is expected to function flawlessly. High travel comfort is an important component of modern air transport for Airbus, the airlines, and for the increasingly discerning passenger. Airbus promises A350 passengers higher levels of comfort in all classes. Seats, lighting, cabin pressure, and cabin noise levels have been significantly improved. The noise level, for example, is 4 times lower than in comparable aircraft, a benefit that mustn't compromise quality in other areas.
Lorsqu'il arrive à cette station, nous installons tous les sièges.
At this station, we install all the seats from economy to business class.
Donc la première étape, c'est de rentrer le siège dans l'avion, de l'installer.
Colleagues from the quality control department check whether the seats have been installed properly. If necessary, defects are rectified by the seat manufacturer.
Puis nous avons éventuellement des reworks qui sont faits par nos partenaires qui fabriquent les sièges.
While the remedial work is going on, another team installs the seats in economy class. The fuselage of the A350 has an especially large diameter, hence the suffix XWB, which stands for extra wide body. In its standard configuration, the A350-1000 can accommodate 366 passengers, but it's also possible to fit 10 seats per row. This would allow the aircraft to carry as many as 440 passengers. Claire Sescon is the deputy head of Station 30. She supervises and coordinates 30 electricians and mechanics who perform the preliminary function tests and take care of small repairs at the same time.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Tu vas bien?
Ça va et vous?
Ça va. C'est bon? Tout avance comme tu veux?
Bon, on va monter ce panneau là.
Ok, parfait.
In contrast with every other assembly line at Airbus, the mechanical and electrical systems of the A350 are worked on in parallel.
It is a great responsibility to take care of the safety of the employees and of the aircraft, especially here at Station 30, where different departments work simultaneously: quality control, production, and testing. The key to our successful work lies in the harmonious cooperation required to build the aircraft on time, to the highest quality, and to everyone's safety.
There are specialists for every task, however minor.
Will this be ready soon?
Yes, the specialists will drill the holes shortly, and then we can carry on.
Perfect. Super. I grew up in Toulouse, so I always saw planes and watched the maiden flights. The residents of Toulouse have always been surrounded by aviation. For me, working here was a dream from an early age.
Today, Claire supervises how workers here at Station 30 add the finishing touches to the A350. The workers, for example, close the last gap between the fuselage and the wing at the side of the aircraft.
528 488.
In the cargo hold, electrician Cédric Lomond is testing the cabling. 180 kilometers of cable are installed in every A350. Keeping track of everything here is a complex undertaking.
In position now.
Okay, I'm ready. Okay.
Connected to ground.
The electricians test every single cable in the aircraft. All the systems are still accessible, for now.
We're testing the cables. This involves increasing the voltage in order to find out if the resistance is high enough. These are the cables that control the engines.
After the test, Cedric's colleague seals off all the connectors again. No dirt can be allowed to get into this sophisticated control system. All of the cables that the pilots use to control the aircraft's functions converge in front of the cargo hold below the cockpit. Safety-related systems are installed in duplicate for redundancy. Specialists inspect every single cable connection here too, irrespective of how difficult they are to get to. They're always conscious of their responsibility. Any mistake that electrician Nicolas Venier makes now could have fatal consequences.
This is where the electronic control systems are located, the heart of the aircraft, as it were. When doing my job, I often think about all the passengers who'll board this aircraft someday and set off on their travels with complete confidence.
Once all the function tests have been completed, the aircraft moves on to the penultimate station, Station 20, where its engines will be fitted. The A350 is powered by two state-of-the-art turbofan engines, developed exclusively for this aircraft by Rolls-Royce. It's the most fuel-efficient commercial aircraft engine in the world, the Trent XWB. The engine specialists hydraulically raise the massive turbine up to its mounting points below the wing. They bolt the 8-ton, 50,000 horsepower engine to the aircraft wing using just two mounting brackets. The massive turbine consists of more than 20,000 components, most of them fitted together by hand. Once the turbine is secure on the pylon, the hydraulic transport vehicle is lowered back down. A single turbine costs almost 32 million euros, so great care must be taken when maneuvering. Each of the two engines generates 374.5 kilonewtons of thrust. Each turbine consists of 22 titanium blades and has a diameter of nearly 3 meters. During takeoff, the engine takes in over a metric ton of air each second. Rolls-Royce uses state-of-the-art ceramic coatings inside the combustion chamber, because in this turbine, the air-fuel mixture burns at extremely high temperatures, in excess of 2,000 degrees Celsius. The upshot? Around 15% lower fuel consumption and significantly better emission levels than its predecessor. In addition to this, Trent XWB engines are much quieter than any other aero turbine, essential for planes flying over heavily populated conurbations. Before Airbus shipped the first A350 in December 2014, aircraft and engines were subjected to extensive stress tests under extreme climatic and weather conditions that the aircraft would not have to endure during normal operation. Back at Station 20, cabin integrator Laurent Barateau sets about making the last few minor adjustments. Everything must be just right and adhere to the highest standards to ensure acceptance by the customer. Every reading light must be angled properly. No scratches must be allowed to ruin the impression. The list price of an A350-1000 is almost 330 million euros. So the customer understandably expects to receive a first-class product.
At this point, we examine everything again very closely and place great emphasis on protecting the cabin, as all the elements are very expensive. If you install them, you should avoid damaging them, as several jobs are always being performed inside the aircraft at the same time. Everything has to be well protected. Unfortunately, however, we sometimes find some damage, or we discover during testing that a seat doesn't work properly. Then we have to rectify the issue.
Just a couple of days until completion. Time for the plane to receive its paint job. The painters apply 5 coats of paint. A polyurethane paint with low volatile organic compound content. That's better for the environment and the painters. The spray guns use an electrostatic spray system. They distribute the paint extremely evenly, thus reducing paint consumption and aircraft weight. After 4.5 months on the final assembly line, a new Airbus A350 is finished. Finally, the pilots take over, and this marvel of modern engineering can take to the skies. 10 aircraft of this type take off on their maiden flight each month. Soon, hundreds of them will be connecting continents and millions of people as they are carried to their destinations worldwide. And as they do, they'll be flying on the most advanced passenger aircraft in the world, the Airbus A350 from Toulouse.